2024 has been a pretty good year for animated movies, mostly existing franchises making new entries like Transformers 1, Inside Out 2, and the fourth entries of Despicable Me and Kung Fu Panda. But with its final fully produced in-house animated movie, DreamWorks brings us an adaptation of a popular book series all about Roz, the wild robot. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. All right, this is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing The Wild Robot. The Wild Robot, written and directed by Chris Sanders, starring Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Kit Connor, Bill Nighy, Mark Hammill, Catherine O'Hara, Matt Berry, and Ving Rhames. And for a complete cast listing, you can go to the link in our show notes. It is just me today, and to be honest, technically I'm on the couch because I was supposed to do a double feature today. I was at one press screening for The Wild Robot, and I was on my way to the second press screening for Megalopolis. And as I was headed that way, something happened, which I'm not going to share on the podcast. But anyway, it derailed me getting there. So I had to go home, blah, blah, blah. I'm fine. Everything is fine. But as a result, you're listening to this. You're like, this sounds like he's on the couch. It's because I am on the couch. So this is an animated film, and it's about a robot who essentially is misdelivered onto an island of animals. And after interacting with the animals, she is given a task that she must complete, and it includes essentially becoming a parent of sorts. This is a movie about chosen family. This is a movie about community. This is a movie about oppression and placing and belonging and where we should belong and where we could belong. And to be honest with you, this is one of the best movies I've seen this year. And when I say one of the best, I hesitate to say the best because I'm sure I'm forgetting something that I really, really liked this year. But I mean, it's very cute. It's a cute movie. It starts off cute, then it goes into clever and funny. And then there's some dark humor involving some possums that is a recurring joke over and over again that really makes me laugh. Anthropomorphic animals. I did not know that that's where this movie was going. I did not watch any previews. I just heard people saying that it's going to be pretty good. So I decided to go into this one as blind as possible. This movie kind of did what I think the movie Migration thought it was doing, which was be like a cute little story that has a lot of heart. This movie has way more heart than Migration. It is like if The Iron Giant and WALL-E and Migration had a child. That's what this movie feels like to me. It is in terms of emotional threads. There's so many things that this movie tugs on well. There's one line in the movie where somebody says you're in the wrong place and have become the wrong thing. And that is a theme that just, continues circling back throughout the film. And in between laughing, I cried 3 times while watching this. It pulls the heart right out of you, and it doesn't really overstay its welcome. It is only about 90 minutes long, and that's exactly the time that it needed to be to accomplish what it needed to accomplish. It's beautifully animated. It's for everyone, kids and adults. I have not seen a movie like this. I mean, the last movie I saw that plucked it like this was probably some sort of Pixar film. And I just don't think Pixar I think Pixar is overcomplicating a lot of their films as of recently. I was not a huge fan of Inside Out 2. I know a lot of people were, but I think if you remove anxiety from that movie and kind of that being like kind of the buzziest of emotions and kind of what we talk about a lot these days, so to include it immediately in that movie is a way in which you're talking to kids about something that is a hot button topic, which is why I think people think that movie is better than it is, because in a lot of ways it's a retread of Inside Out. But this movie just doesn't. I'm not saying the ideas in this movie are original. I am saying that they are originally executed. It was refreshing to see a film like this that beginning, middle, and end is just satisfying in terms of the conflict that is introduced, in terms of dialogue. There's just so many parts of this movie that just work. Plain out, it just works. And so much so that when I'm watching it, I'm realizing I really have to contemplate deep down in myself, like, what does it mean to give a movie a 5-star rating? What does it mean for me? And for me, for the longest time, it was like, if a movie is perfect, it is a 5-star rating. That's what I've said for a long time. I'm like, 5 being perfect, 3 meaning would watch it again, right down the middle. 4 meaning I loved it. And then I've given a lot of movies 4.6s and 4.7s. And oh my God, it was all this there. There's this one thing I didn't like. This was a movie that there wasn't anything I didn't like about it. There wasn't anything I didn't like about it. I didn't have any notes, which made me realize that I don't think, while I could say this movie is perfect, I'm sure somebody else could pick it apart. But when I don't have a note about a movie and I feel satisfied to the very end, which is what happened with Godzilla -1, I gotta give it 5 stars. And with that being said, this is a 5-star movie. I cried 3 times. I would recommend it to my friends with kids, my friends without kids. It made me miss my mom even more than I already do. It made me think about my relationship with my mom. It's a strong, good, powerful movie. I was recently on Pop Culture Happy Hour, and there was a colleague on there, Jordan Crucchiola, I want to say is her last name. I hope I'm not mispronouncing it. And she mentioned how she cried during Transformers 1 because there's something about the power of friendship that really always does it for her. She's going to bawl watching this, because you want to talk about the power of friendship and the power of community in this film. It's very, very good. The antagonists are realistic. Like I said, there's a bit of a WALL-E touch to it, especially when you think about, the abandoned world or the how nature reclaims the earth. Just beautiful movie. Just a beautiful movie. I think it's 5 stars. I think you all need to go see this. I will definitely watch it again. I wrote down my mother would have loved this movie. She would have, my mom doesn't really love movies, but she thinks they're cute. She would have thought this movie was very cute. And in this political climate, this is exactly what kids need, and the type of movie that parents need to be able to bring their kids to. I mean, Chosen Family, and I thought it was just going to be all about Chosen Family and them against the odds. But then when it becomes about a community, it just, fantastic, fantastic movie. So yeah, 5 stars. Go see it. I'm not playing around. That is my second 5-star rating ever. The first one was Godzilla -1. The second one is The Wild Robot. And that's just what it is. From now on, a 5-star rating is I have no notes and I'm satisfied to the end. And that's what this was. If I have notes, that's the only thing that gets you dings at this point. It gets you down to 4 stars. If I have a lot of notes, get you down to 3. But this is a 5-star movie. I'm sorry. And I know somebody will come along and be like, I don't think it was all that cracked up. Maybe I'm in the right headspace for it. And maybe I'm apologizing for my rating. I don't mean to, but man, go see it. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh It's Big Round Studios. Per usual, I mixed this episode. And if you want to help me out, if you want to be a support to the show, if you want to support independent audio making, why don't you become a member of our Patreon? Patreon gives me the latitude and the freedom to continue making this show every single week. The more money I have, the more I can automate tasks, the more I can, cast things off, maybe hire a person to help mix, all of that stuff that makes making this show a little bit easier. If you like the show, you can always rate, review, subscribe, recommend it to other people. That's always helpful. But if you depend on this show, if you're like, I can't wait to listen to this every week, this is important to me, why don't you go ahead and give me $7 a month? $7 a month, it's not going to hurt you. You can even do annual. And I'm about to make some new offerings that I think y'all are really going to like, especially for anyone who becomes an annual member here soon. I got something that I think y'all are really going to like. I'm not announcing it yet till it's official, and I will announce it through the Patreon. The only way you'll know what it is if you sign up for the Patreon. But I'm pretty excited about it, and I think you will be too. Hint, personal reviews. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give you any more details. You can only find out more by going to patreon.com/leavingthetheater or going to the link in our show notes. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about the Wild Robot, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at @OItsBigRon. That's at OHITSBIGRON. You can find out more about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studio shows by following us on Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron Studios and on Twitter at Oh It's Big Ron Stu. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.